Do you know there are some men of God today, if they marry, they have to change their SIM cards? Because if they don't, there will be problem at home. There are more than 8 sisters that they are having the same conversation.
Welcome to Remnant Online followers. Please kindly subscribe. Thank you.
Why do you look at that brother and all that comes out of you is lost? Why do you look at that sister and all that comes out of you is lost? Something is wrong with you. Sit on the word, meditate for you to be refined. That's not how men think. Your thoughts should be so purified that even when you see a harlot, instead of lusting, you should pity the person and you should develop a burden to win them. It's possible. That's where God ordained us to live. I'm telling you why we are powerless. It's largely from within us. Number 3, purity of speech or words. Some people are so defied in their communication. Ephesians 4:29. It says, let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth. Let no evil communication. Some people enjoy talking vanity. They enjoy talking iniquity. And it's a revelation of the state of their heart. For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. No matter how Satan pushes you to say idle words, evil words, stop yourself. Let nothing unwholesome come out of your mouth. Now they have even become slangs. And you hear Christians use them. That's not how we speak. There is a code for our communication. Colossians 4:6 said, let our words be seasoned with grace. We speak only wholesome things. You should be irritated when men speak error, evil, idle words around you. Don't be inspired by such things and pick them up. You hear Christians pick words from the gutters, and they'll be using these words, and they don't know that these are instruments of defilement. That's why we can't be pure. Our words corrupt us. Number 4, purity of the body. This speaks of sexual integrity. 1 Corinthians 6:17-20. He that is joined to the Lord is one spirit with him. And you think it ends there. No, it doesn't. Flee fornication. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body. But he that committed fornication sinneth against the body. What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which you have of God? You are not your own. Verse 20. For you are bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. Glorify God with your body. Don't get yourself into everything. Don't touch things. Don't allow things touch you in a compromising manner. Do you know that the way you can shake somebody can be defilement seductively? The way you can look at somebody can be defilement seductively. There are people that their eyes, I've taught you here before, nakash. They send seduction through their eyes. They look at you, roll their eyes, they shake you, hold your hand, squeeze it. These are seduction. Don't let those things. Nowadays, young ladies carry their phones and they say they are doing face chat. Is it face chat? And they are rolling their tongues. They don't even know why they are doing it. They roll their tongues and put online. Seduction is called defilement of the body. They are defied and they are defiling others. So that when weak people see these things, arrows of seduction are shot into their hearts. What are you putting your tongue and recording and putting online for? If you are not an agent of the serpent. You think it's only those who fly that are agents? There are more trekking agents than flying ones. A young man goes to gym. That's a healthy exercise. But if the gymming end with wearing shirt, removing 4 buttons, and putting your chest everywhere, or go and close that chest and get out of the road. We are not living life by the size of chest. Find out our sisters today. They sew clothes, the whole cleavages outside, the whole lap outside, and hypocrites, they'll be trying to cover. What are you covering? Don't you know what you wore? Defile people trying to defile others. And when you talk, they say, no, it's not works. We are in grace. Which grace? He said, the grace of God that bringeth salvation has appeared to all men, teaching us that denying ungodliness, that we should live soberly, godly in this present world. What grace are you talking about? If any part of your body provokes sexual desires from anybody at any time, and it is not within the context of marriage, your body has been defiled, and you have converted it as an agent of defilement. Number 5, purity of relationships. These are relationships with well-defined boundaries. When relationships lose their boundaries, it has provoked defilement. 1 Timothy 5 verse 2, it says, treat the younger women as sisters. So any conversation, anything you can't do with your blood sister, don't do with a sister in church. Treat the elder women as mothers, the younger women as sisters, with all purity. Hello, my sister, and you hug her, you hug her, you hug her. When you find such a person, hold his ear and pull him out of the ear. Let him go with his seduction. Shake her. She's not your wife. If you must hug her on the side. Don't grab anybody here. I want to break and puncture the person in the name that you are doing brotherly love. The whole body is laden with seduction. You think Satan don't know you? Jokers. Hebrews 12:14 said, follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no eye shall see God. Every relationship has a boundary. There's no chat I can chat with anybody that my wife can't see. All of you who chat me here, my wife sees it. If she looks at you like this, it means be careful. If not that my husband was calling you sister, I know where you wanted to go. If you will hide your phone from your wife, something is wrong. You know that you have violated boundaries. There's no conversation you can have with a sister that your wife can't come in. You claim you want to help her, but your wife can't know. What help is that? There's an ulterior motive. If that help is pure, you won't be afraid of telling your wife. Don't worry, I don't like the way you are trekking. I will buy you a car. How many people have you bought car for before? And this car you want to buy, how come it's a secret conversation? Let's see. Okay, we're not in the office. Why are you seeing everybody in the office, but this one has to be in the park? We are not sincere people, sir. That's why Satan explores and destroys us. Purity in relationships. Number 6, purity in worship. Jesus said in John 4:24, he said, they that worship the Father must worship him in spirit and in truth. Isaiah 1:11-14, the whole emphasis is to reject fake and impure worship. And you know worship that is not sincere. Everybody's praying. You sat on your chair like this. The moment they gave you mic, Augusta, when you want to add drama, go to the back. We are doing serious business here. They are worshiping God. You are pressing your phone. Until they say, take lead worship. You start crying. And then finally, purity in general conduct. In 1 Peter 1:15 and 16, the Bible told us, but as he which has called you is holy, it says, so be ye holy in all manner of conversation. This is where your conscience comes in as a checker. Your conscience. As a checker. Do you know there are some men of God today, if they marry, they have to change their SIM cards? Because if they don't, there will be problem at home. There are more than 8 sisters that they are having the same conversation with. These are not holy brethren. I'm not talking to you as one who has not fallen before. I have fallen. But I didn't lie to myself. So I cried to God anytime I fall to help me rise. So this is not self-righteousness. This is showing you the standard of God. And as you imbibe it, grace will be supplied to help you. In all manner. In your business. In your career. Don't use your honor or your influence to malign somebody else. That's not purity. Be pure in all manner of conversation. If you do this, you will see the power of purity. And very quickly, because of our time, let me itemize few powers that through biblical purity confers on men. You know, as a traveler, I had to sit down to begin to learn all these things. Because when I started traveling at first, the only dimension of power I knew is the power that comes from the stirring of the Holy Spirit. So before I go to preach, I pray in tongues for hours. When I'm preaching, everywhere has to be on fire for power to move. I now realize it's not every day I'm preaching. As I started growing, some people call me 2 a.m. in the morning. Somebody is dying. Where is the time to go and be stirred? You are walking in the market. As I was coming into the country today, a guy ran to me in business class, knelt down, and said, please pray for me. I was so ashamed. I said, stand up for where? The more I drag him, the more he knelt. In order not to waste time, I said, Father, bless him. I said, it's well with you, sir. Prayer short so that I can go away. How do you go and start stirring yourself there? That means there are many tributaries to power. It can't just be you are stirred. If you are not stirred, there's no power. No, sir. Most of the testimonies we record come from casual moments. Somebody runs into you in the market, you say it is well, and things change. I sat with my wife in the house when the brother with the sister came and complained they rejected him from a football club. Go! Divine intervention. 48 hours later, the same coach called him. Augusta, I didn't come from prayer. You need different dimensions of power to be relevant. Otherwise, you will end up a religious man who will only manifest power in a church service. But for you to walk in power all the time, you need to know the different dimensions or indicators of power in scripture. And purity is one of it. There are certain powers you will never have until you live a pure life. Don't let anybody deceive you. He said, who shall stand upon the mountains of God? Who shall stand upon his holy hills? He says, him that is of a pure hand of a pure heart, who has not lifted his soul in vanity. So you'll find men wielding powers in the courts of God. Purity is defining it. And there are different things that provoke power. But quickly, let's look at the powers of purity. Number one, purity grants access and sustenance of God's presence. Find people who always carry tangible dimension of God's presence. Amongst other things, purity is there. Purity is not the only thing. Humility sponsors it. Obedience sponsors it. He said, if you obey me, I and my Father will come and make our house with you. He said, him that is humble, he said, God will shower grace. Who should I look upon? He said, a man that is of a contrite heart and of a broken spirit. So humility, obedience, but purity also provokes presence. If you want to carry God's presence, be pure, sir. Live a holy life. I, oh Lord, am of a purer eyes. My eyes cannot behold iniquity. You can't move around with iniquity and expect God's presence to validate you. That's why today men of God are looking for all kinds of things to validate them. In the days of the fathers, you didn't need to snap a picture with somebody to have validation. When they walk into a city, they came with a cloud. God himself is the one who announces them. How do you think this man took the word without internet, without telephone? How did they take the word? There was something they carried. When Moses came to the courts of Pharaoh, there was no credential. God was his credential. The God of the Hebrew have sent me. Let my people go that they may serve me. Who is he? Don't worry, he will come here. I didn't come with theology, but I came with presence. I may not have theology, but I have presence. I have presence. And the guy dropped his rod, and his rod became a serpent. The Egyptians wise men did it. Moses' rod swallowed their own. And as you study that story, you see that the presence kept growing. After the 10th plague, the presence became Shekinah. That which was invincible became visible. And when they went out, the Bible said God went before them as a pillar of cloud by day and as a pillar of fire by night. The presence had built up upon the man until it became a cloud. We are shouting, singing. God's presence is not there because our garments are not pure. Something is wrong with our being. Blessed are the pure in heart. I quoted already Matthew 5:8. They are the ones who see God. Who stands? Who is he that stands in the mountains of God? Psalm 24 verse 3 to 5. Who stands upon his holy hills is the man that is of a pure heart. His hands are clean. He has not lifted his soul in vanity. You find people who carry God's presence in a sustained manner. Check. There's something they are doing with grace to keep their garments pure. We lack God's presence. And when you lack God's presence, you will suffer. You will suffer. Your Christianity will be bedeviled with a lot of crises that you can't resolve. What did Moses have? All Moses carried that made him shut down Egypt, walk through the Sinai desert, enter the promised land was God's presence. The Bible said their shoe grew with them. Their garments did not wax old. That means a man who carries God's presence has abundance. He said he rebuked kings for their sakes. Touch not my anointed. Do my prophets no harm. Nobody could fight them. God's presence. And you need to read the Bible to know the people they battled with. The Bible spoke of Sihon, the king of the Amorites. It spoke of Og, the king of Bashan. Their warriors were beastly men. A man could stand up and he looked like a bear. Some of them had hairs like tigers. That's why the people they were fighting, there was no military training. They were not even coordinated because they were slaves all their lives. But without military intelligence, without economic power, they went with the Shekinah. Nations opened, armies were shut down, provisions came, even the rock gave them water. What are you talking? The rock, the Bible said he cleft the rock also, and the waters gushed out. In the desert, how can water come in the desert? When they needed food, manna came from heaven, and they told Moses, we want to eat meat. Moses said, why are you tempting God? God said, no, tell them to go forward. Even in the desert, meat can come. And the Bible said he commanded the east wind, and he brought quails. Birds were sitting on bed. So there was meat, there was food, there was protection, there was provision, because of the presence. He suffered no man to do them harm. He gave a commandment in the spirit: touch not my anointed, do my prophets no harm. They carried the presence. How have we become so helpless? How have we become so powerless? How have we become so useless? Because there's no presence. They had to look for men to cause them to be able to fight them, because they were too powerful and they were using stones. He said, the Lord is my banner. When they went to fight, all Moses needed to do was to put his hand up. The Lord is my banner. There was an atmosphere over these people. The Bible said Moses sent soldiers out. When they returned, more than 18 battalions, he said no man was missing. Not one. Not one man was missing. They fought wars without casualties. I prophesy over someone, as you make up your mind to live pure, the presence of God will tabernacle over you. I said the presence of God will tabernacle over you. He said, him that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High abides under the shadow of the Almighty. He shall say of his God, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I will trust. He shall be my shield and my buckler. See, 1,000 shall fall by your side, 10,000 by your right hand, it shall not come near you. I decree and declare, the presence of God is your banner. Sit down for a moment. The presence, orchestrated by purity. You think Satan is not smart? He saw that Job was hedged by God on every side. Nothing could harm him. And he went to provoke the guy. It didn't work. Use his wife. Curse God. If you break the hedge, the serpent will bite. Most of us use impurity to break the hedge. Your business would have been intact until you became creative about carrying women to go and sleep with them in other country. Your family would have remained intact until you deployed intelligence on how to change figures in the office, and you didn't know what you were doing was breaking the hedge. And then the glory that covered your life, that brought protection, that brought honor, suddenly leaves and you discover you are naked. Number 2, it attracts favor. Daniel chapter 1 verse 8 to 9. It's not everything you achieve by men laying hands on you. There are certain things that principles provoke. But Daniel proposed in his heart that he will not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor the wine which they drank. Therefore he requested of the eunuch that he might not defile himself. See the implication, next verse. Now God brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the eunuch. You refuse defilement. It will look like a disadvantage for a while, but over time, what favor will provoke will be more than what you would have achieved for yourself using human intelligence. Genesis 39 verse 2 to 9. Look at Joseph. The Bible said in Romans 15 verse 4, the things that were written aforetime, they were written for our learning, so that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. Look at the things written aforetime. And the Lord was with Joseph. You will see why God was with Joseph. It was purity. And he was a prosperous man. And he was in the house of his master the Egyptian. So even slaves can prosper if God is with them. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord has made all that he did to prosper in his hands. Because of God's presence, he was promoted. And Joseph found grace, which is also favor, in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house. In all that is his house, he put in his hand. But why did he have this kind of favor? You will see that in verse 9. And it came to pass from that time, he was made overseer in his house and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake, and the blessings of the Lord was upon all that he had in his house and in the field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had save the bread which he eat And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. So the master didn't even know his wealth. All he knew was food was there to eat. Joseph was in charge of everything. And he said Joseph was well favored. He was favored to the degree that he was promoted to be an overseer. But what was at the foundation? We will now see why he was so favored. Verse 8 and 9. Go to verse 7.
Thank you for watching. Please kindly like, comment, subscribe and turn on your notification bell so you always get notified whenever we post a new video. And don't forget to share. Thank you.